Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the CIL, this time at Auto Club out here in Fontana in California for the InnoVetted Labs Premier Series here on the oval side of the CIL schedule. This is race 4 of 7 for the spring 2022 season. I'm John Price, and up here in the booth with me tonight, I have Joshua Tiggs and Nick Stockner. First off, Josh, tell me what you're looking forward to this race. It looks like it's pretty good weather out there, and we got a huge field for us.
Exactly, as you see right there, clear skies. Couldn't ask for a better day to go racing. But one thing you got to take a look at is that temperature right there, that track temp, currently sitting at 133 degrees. This season so far, we've been racing on really cold tracks, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers handle this warmer weather.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's going to be a battle of tire management for a lot of these guys, and maybe even have to duck out of the draft and get a little bit of clean air over the nose of the car to help cool a little bit as I'm watching the Boilermakers fitting title for the 018 car rolling across my screen at the moment. But either way, also up here, I mentioned Nick Stockner. Nick's first time up here in the booth with us. So, Nick, what are you looking forward to in this race?
Thank you, John. Happy to be here tonight for my first time calling a race. I am really looking forward to tonight. The fact that Auto Club is by far the widest track we go to on the schedule here. Got at least good 5-6 lanes of racing here tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing just how many lanes our drivers can utilize tonight and seeing some good 4, maybe even 5 wide action going into some corners.
Yeah, I think we're all definitely looking forward to that. As you mentioned, the widest track on the calendar we go to, so that's going to open up a lot of opportunity for different strategy types as we go throughout this race. Guys trying to run the high line, the middle line, the low line, all sorts of different lines through the corners as guys get headed out now for 10 minutes worth of qualifying. They get 3 laps out there to set their top time and determine where they will start this race from. Back in practice just a moment ago, Hagen Johnson from Clemson set the fastest time with a 41.465. So a great time there for the number 7 car. And Jared Kaler, not too far behind, only 0.003 of a second behind, and just behind him, our current points leader, I do believe, Sean Campbell, who, as we all know from the roadside, is an absolute monster behind the wheel. And he seems to have figured out here on the oval side, Joshua.
Oh, absolutely. As I've been mentioning, those are 3 key drivers to look out for tonight as well. But I want to mention, too, again, with those lanes as well, these restarts are going to be hectic, especially the start of this race is where you make up all your positions. As after we get into a green flag run, we'll see the field kind of get into a little bit of a single file run. So those restarts are really where you can make up those positions. So it's going to be really hectic to see how drivers manage those different lane choices and who gets that run off the high side, who goes down to the bottom and tries to pull a slide job. I think we could see a bunch of contact tonight as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in the cards. I'm hoping not so much because we've got an 80-lap race on our hands, and I'm sure most of us would like to see that run under green flag conditions, but I don't think you're wrong at all with that. One guy that I know to watch out for on restarts has always been Austin Farr. Was, I believe, 6th in practice, and maybe not quite there the last couple of weeks, but I think this is looking for a strong comeback for that Tennessee machine who has won, not one, but 2 championships in the CIL. He knows how to drive these cars really well. He is a master at the restarts, and I don't think, Nick, that he's ever been beaten down into the first corner off of a restart.
No, he has not. I had the pretty good luxury of racing against Austin Farr last time out at Kentucky. It's a privilege because I know if I'm racing around him, I'm racing around the best in the business here in this league, and I can tell you he does not hold back. He will give you the full beans, and he was definitely pushing hard, and he'll be pushing hard tonight, I'm for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Why don't you take us on board here for a lap with a car when we get one up on the screen, and we'll see how these guys are managing this qualifying session in terms of how they're getting their tires up to temperature and so on and so forth. So take us away.
All right, so we got Andrew Williams here, a little employee of my own here at Clemson Esports. So we're going to see as he's going to come out of turn 4 here. He's going to get right up and maybe near the wall. He's going to stay near the middle right now. A good key portion to this qualifying lap is going to be how can he get down to the bottom. Go straight through here, and he's looking to slow down. I think his lap is over now.
Yeah, I think that's an aborted lap there for Nick Williams. I think we got Ricky Paz up there now, though.
Ricky Paz, let's take a look at him here. He's going to get down into turn 3 here. And he's not taking the exact bottom. He may be looking to get a better runoff for. And actually, no, he's also on the boarded lap.
Yeah, probably a little bit late there for the call out, I suppose. There's most guys on my screen look to have finished their laps so far. I think Sean Campbell's still on a lap. Hagen's finished all of his, so has Ricky Paz. I think the only drivers left to cross the line are Norberg, DeLong, Millerin, Lemcool, Tyler Stone, and just a couple others as well. Carl Lemcool there for the St. Louis University, one of the few alumni in the field. Our viewers at home can recognize an alumni car by the 3-digit number on the side of their vehicle. Of course, the students are running a 1 or 2-digit number. And they are scored separately on points. So if Carl were to win this race and come first and Sean were to come second, since they're in different classes, technically they would both come home with the same number of points at the end of the night. So that can play into some interesting strategy calls, especially when we've got guys that have alumni and students both from the same university. They're not necessarily fighting for the same bundle of points at the end of the night, so they can help each other out to some more advantageous positions throughout the race. It's a really interesting strategy that we don't see too much else of in other leagues, I might say, Josh, but either way, it adds an interesting dynamic to the CIL, I'd say.
Well, absolutely, especially like you were saying, two kind of different point systems from an individual basis, but we do have that kind of accumulative university point standings as well. So sometimes you'll see drivers working together to get their university up to the front and stuff. And we kind of saw that last time out on the oval side with Kenneth Talbot bringing home the victory at Kentucky. And, you know, he was one who really hasn't run up front that much, but he mentioned that it was because of his teammates helping him through different lines to run, different strategies to come to that race with, that really helped him to prepare for it. So a lot of drivers are now working together with that team atmosphere, and that's really cool to see from the university standpoint.
Yeah, we first really saw that, I guess, with the FIU team a lot last season and even the season before that, where they had 3 or 4 cars in the field at a time, and they were using that to their absolute maximum advantage. And I think now, more so, Nick, it's your team, the Clemson guys, that are exercising strategy calls not only on oval but also on the roadside. I think Hagen Johnson had a pretty strong run last week out on the roadside, and Kyle Bonnen's been at the front of that field for quite some time too. So it's good to see those guys start to work together a lot more on the roadside.
Oh yeah, universities definitely like to work together. Us over here at Clemson University, we often have team meetings before races just to go over the general points of the race, making sure that we have a general go-to list of, what to accomplish and what to tackle. And usually we have 1 or 2 cars that are running up near the front, so our goal is to make sure that they stay near the front as much as possible, while also maintaining a bit of, a fair challenge for everyone as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's a great thing for anybody that's running with a team out there. You sit down, you talk through the strategy for the race. Let's say you're in front, I'm behind, and we're on different strategies. What are we going to do there? Are we going to listen to team orders? Something that's come up quite a few times before in the CILs. Do you listen to the crew chief talk in your ear when you're saying, hey, let's let this other guy through here for a moment and let him work the leaders up and see if we can take some advantages away from that? But either way, we'll see if that comes through here tonight. Jared Kaler traditionally waits till the end of qualifying to set his lap, and it is no different for him tonight right now. He is out there on track, wrapping up his final lap here as he crosses the line shortly here. Currently sitting in second place, so we'll see if he can bump that up at all. And it does appear he could, but he got bumped just before that, I believe. So I think he is in 4th position on my charts at the moment. Sean Campbell up front, of course, with a 41.54. Jeremy Miller and just behind him, and Austin Farr up into 3rd. So I think I saw in the chat earlier we were looking forward to potentially another Austin Farr and Jared Kaler battle. And Joshua, I think we might just have that on our hands here tonight.
Well, and if we do, it is for sure to be a treat out here tonight, because they've been battling it back and forth, and it's so incredible to see them work these cars, work the strategy, whether it's tires, fuel, or whatever it may be. So I think we're in for a treat here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched so many Austin Farr and Jared Kaler battles before, pretty much all of last season, and then you threw in the mix of having Santiago Perez involved in a lot of those races as well, and that just added a whole extra dynamic, and it seemed like Austin was really just sort of a one-man show out there, and having to battle 2 UNC cars both at the same time. I do not envy him for that, but either way, he still came out on top in that event, I believe. So he's got plenty to show here tonight as we're wrapping it on up in qualifying. All cars have now crossed the line here. So we have about a minute and a half before we get going with our 80-lap feature race. No more of this 2-race stuff that we saw last season. That's now on the roadside if you'd like to watch some of that, but it is a single race here from the green flag all the way to the checkered flag, maybe with a few cautions interspersed there, plus one green-white checker attempt should it be needed here tonight. But let's hope for a finish under green either way here. So Sean Campbell, like I said before, up there in the pole position for tonight's race. Jeremy Miller and the top alumni sitting in second overall with a 41.546. Then Austin Farr in third, 41.584 on your screen now for you. Jared Kaler there in fourth, like we mentioned. Hagen Johnson, great run for that Clemson team there in fifth position. Then Ricky Paz for Valparaiso, great qualifying for Ricky Paz there in sixth. Derek Jennings in seventh. Colin Kolpa in eighth. Matthew Norberg for NC State in ninth. And then Henry Morse in 10th. So a really strong top 10 there, Joshua.
Yeah, and continuing on, in 11th, we have Andrew Williams from Clemson once again, then Brett Bennett from Baylor in that 12th position. Athena LeClaire brings it in 13th with St. Clair College. Austin DeLong there in 14th for Penn College of Tech, and Cody Fadenhauer is there in 15th. Coming in 16th, we have Ryan Lusich for the University of Northern, Tennessee or Texas? And then, let's see. We have 17th with Carl Lemko for St. Louis University, 18th Ryan Fenton for St. Joseph's, and 19th Tyler Stone from St. Clair College. And wrapping out the top 20 is Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville.
And rounding up here for the last 10, we have Andrew McCall in the 018, a Purdue alumni in 21st. 22nd, the 09 car, Treston Yoder out of Robert Morris. P23, Esteban Munoz, number 9 car from FIU. A P24, Ethan Head, the 8 from Tennessee. P25, the 119 of Jeff Pete from Minnesota Twin Cities. And in P26, the 20 car of Alexander Hogarth out of St. Clair College. P27, we got number 24 card, my man Bradley E. Daniels out of Robert Morris. And in P28, slow and steady, but he's going to get to the end of the race, Zachary Lindler in the 137 out of Clemson University. And P29, 81 car, also from Robert Morris of Alexander Gagnon. And then in P30, last but not least, Kenneth Talbot from the University of Alabama at Huntsville.
Yeah, it looks like Kenneth failed to set a lap there, so we'll see if he actually ends up taking part in this race. I do see his correspondent on track, so I would assume that that means he intends to race here tonight. So there's your final qualifying results up there on the screen. Just 1,000th of a second separating Campbell and Miller and up there at the front, and then a bit more of a gap back to Farr. Not typical to see that here, but given that Sean Campbell has figured out how to drive these things in a circle, Joshua, I think that's got some of the other drivers scared out here.
Oh, absolutely. We saw that last time out at Kentucky as well. We had Sean working that strategy and wasn't able to completely cap it off. Right at home second there at Kentucky, but man, was he charging, and he is a force to reckon with. He's just so calm, cool, and collected behind that wheel. Wherever he is out on the track, you got to be aware of that, because it doesn't matter if he's in the back or in the front. He's going to find his way to the front of the pack and lead some laps no matter where he's at.
Yeah, most definitely. He does that on the roadside, and now, of course, we're watching him do it in these stock cars as well. And he's got to have one of the best situational awarenesses out of any driver that I've ever seen before. I mean, he never really seems to get the car into a dicey situation. He reads the guys in front extremely well. And as he gets set here to take us to the green flag, I'm sure that's all that's on his mind, is how I can get a clean start away here. So in just a moment, we'll be on our way with 80 laps in front of us to go into the race here at Auto Club Speedway. So the pit car, or safety car, just up there in front, going to pull down into the pit lane any moment here, and we'll be on our way. Austin Farr sitting back there right behind Sean Campbell, so keep an eye on that orange Tennessee machine to try to make a nice dive here. Green flag standing by here by the iRacing official, and very shortly here, and green flag in the air. Sean Campbell is already off to a great strong lead so far as we head down to turn one. Austin Farr down there on the inside. Miller is still holding on pretty strong there on the top side, just getting pushed along by Jared Kaler just behind him. Hagen Johnson looking down to that low line, and they're going to make it 3 wide heading in here to turn one, Joshua.
Yeah, as you see, cars already starting to fan out. Try those different lines, see where they can be getting those runs. You see that high line really prevailing now out of that corner. You saw Sean Campbell kind of go up there as he went to enter turn one. It'll be interesting, Nick, to see if they continue to work these lines.
Yeah, as you can see down here in turns 3 and 4 to run the low line, Sean Campbell, Austin Farr, neck and neck here as they get out of turn 4 to heading up to the wall here. First stretch, getting ready to see lap 1. And we got a caution in the back.
That's Jeremy Millerin up into the wall and then collecting a number of cars behind him. It looked like he just got a little bit tight coming off the corner there, and the car worked its way up to the wall. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that here any moment now, but it sounds like he is apologizing profusely on the radio now to all the other drivers that he affected with that. But let's see who all made it through. So Sean, Austin, and Jared all up the front did just fine to make it through that. So here we go on board. Looks like plenty of drivers taking evading action already. The front end of Carl Lemkel's car not in great shape at all. We got cars flipping upside down. I think that was Millerin himself actually that ended up upside down there. But yeah, number of cars affected by that. Derek Jennings has bumped up to 4th with that. Ricky Paz up a spot to 5th. Henry Morse up 4 spots right now to 6th place. And Joshua, that one didn't take too long to get our first caution of the night.
No, it didn't. It goes back to what I was mentioning earlier here on these restarts, or in this case, the start of the race. Drivers just trying to get everything, but you just saw right there, just getting tight up into that wall, and that's the thing here at Auto Club. That turn 4 wall comes up on you surprisingly quick as you look to exit that corner. So you really got to be working that throttle, be paying attention if you have to get out of it a little bit, but then you run the risk of getting steam trained from behind.
Yeah, and that's a big risk indeed. So you always got to be careful, especially when those tires aren't quite up to temperature yet. You don't quite know how much grip you're going to get when you come through each turn like that. So I'm not a big oval guy personally, and the first time I tried it, I was surprised at how difficult it is. So for anybody sitting there at home trying to think, no, that's probably not so difficult. No, trust me, it absolutely is. From a guy that mostly races road, I was extremely challenged by it, and no way I could come close to hanging with Sean, Austin, or Jared at the front of this field. But either way, that is how it sits at the front. So Millerin now has effectively removed himself from the contention for the lead at the moment. It looks like he has brought it into pit lane, I believe, and he'll get that car fixed up eventually and back out on track. But Nick, what'd you see there in that opening lap that surprised you, if anything? Looked like Jared Kaler had pretty solid defense there down on the low side.
Yes, I think the main thing that has gone unnoticed, but is a big contender was taken out in the very early going. Unfortunately, Hagen Johnson was taken out in the very. He qualified 6th. He was running up near the front, but he got tagged by Millerin as he hit the wall. Very unfortunate. A couple more front runners near the middle, but what I saw in retrospect there off lap 1 was a lot of guys were not really so used to the tires yet, so used to the temperature, what's going on with the car. And Auto Club's turn 4 wall, we saw last season, season 3, last lap, people just going up there and smacking it. Everyone just not giving Auto Club its due respect yet and being very cautious.
Yeah, definitely agree with that one. That's you definitely need a little bit of caution in the back of your mind, especially as you head into lap 1 of the race on the oval side. With all the cars packed as tight as they are in this series, any little mistake generally has really bad consequences. It's unlike on the road side where you can have a single car incident and nobody else gets affected and the race carries on. If you find yourself up in the wall here, it's probably going to cause some problems for some other people, as you mentioned. It looks like Colin Kolpa also didn't do so great after that incident. Jeremy Miller and, of course, Brett Bennett also dropping back quite a few positions. Carl Lemkel mentioned he was affected. You just mentioned Hagen Johnson, the Clemson driver. Cody Fadenhauer also involved in that. Cody running a new livery here tonight. If we can get a shot of that on the screen in the moment for the Ukraine situation going on right now. Ricky Paz, 16 positions down as well in 20 seconds. So there's Cody on the screen there. Actually, a really nice looking livery on the side of that car, and a great tribute for sure. Raising some excellent awareness there. Cody Fadenhauer always does a great job with anything that he can throw on that car. He's done breast cancer awareness and so many other good causes before, so great to see that on the side of his car here tonight. But back up here at the front, it looks like the lights on the pace car are out here, Joshua, so we're getting ready for another restart.
Yeah, exactly. And as they get coming to the green flag here, you got to be looking for those drivers fanning out once again and seeing if we run into the same incident that we just did.
Yeah, indeed we do. I think these guys may have learned from that, though, as the pace car pulls down, and Sean Campbell is going to go early, it would seem. Henry Morris got a great launch off there in 5th and is able to squeeze his nose in front of Derek Jennings there, Grand Canyon University, getting shuffled back. He might even get all the way up alongside Austin Farr, but no, Farr puts the block on the number 44 of Morse and maintains second position. Jared Kaler now working that low side against Henry Morrison, trying to follow Austin through if he can, but looks like that's going to get a little bit tight there. He's going to have some clean air over the nose of that car, and that's the last thing he wants right now, Nick. And a little bit of contact between him and Morse. Morse is spinning on the back straight. Contact with the NC State machine. That'll be Nordberg, then back up into the wall almost, and back down across the track again. That was a terrible incident, I might say.
Oh, we saw on the backstretch, Morse and Kaler were going toe-to-toe, and the bumps of the backstretch at Auto Club, they are not forgiving. And once again, Auto Club, due respect, not being given yet. Drivers just getting a bit too loose there. Notice there in the very last hit there, Ryan Whitlock just nowhere to go. Morse is sliding down in the back. We could take a look here again. You drag racing down the back, little bump here and there. They get a little touch, and Morse just goes straight for the wall. Kaler looks a bit unscathed. A thing I just wanted to mention about the first restart, it looked like Jennings did not get going. I think there's damage on the 15 car from the first incident, but yeah, you can see there, 44 and the 58, just a little too close for comfort near that wall, and the 44 bit the dust, but
yeah, bit the dust indeed. I think the racing stewards may have take a look at that one, but that might go down. I don't know. That kind of looked more like a racing incident to me, but like I said, I'm not a massive oval guy, so I don't know what goes and what doesn't go sometimes in these races, because it was the smallest of taps, but with the way that these cars are set up, it doesn't take much at all. You can probably get away with something like that in a GT4 or GT3 car, or even something with a little bit of downforce on it, but these cars just get so loose so quickly. You have to have the fastest hands alive to be able to catch something like that, but nothing doing there for Henry Morris, so unfortunately that's going to drop him way back down the field, and Derek Jennings pick up into 4th position, so good news for Grand Canyon. It does look like there's a little bit of damage on that Grand Canyon car there, Nick, so I think good call on that one, but either way, I think Henry Morris had an amazing start. He just was, I think, planning ahead, if anything, Joshua, for when Sean was going to go. And sometimes you can do that guessing game. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But I think it did work out for Henry Morse there.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's just a guessing game. And if you get going at the right time, it, like you saw right there, it really works out. But back in that incident, too, like Nick was talking about, this track demands respect, not only in the corners, but like we saw there on the straightaway. That back straightaway is so worn out, it's so bumpy, where we saw the slightest touch can get the car upset, and just a little upset is too far here, where it's almost you just kind of have to accept your fate, which is what happened there.
Yeah, accepting fate, that might be part of the motto for oval racing, I think, here tonight. And Jared Kaler on my screen has pulled over to the side of the road. It looks like he has been given an end-of-line penalty for causing that collision. So these stewards did not agree with my assessment of a racing incident there and have decided differently. It is an end-of-the-line penalty for the UNC Charlotte machine number 58. So that doesn't mean Jared Kaler's out of this race. We are only 7 laps in out of this 80-lap race, but so far Campbell's had 2 of the stronger competitors in this field, Josh, kind of taken out for him, if anything, and he's only really got Austin Farr to contend with for now. But Derek Jennings, I wouldn't count him out for Grand Canyon. He's got a plenty fast race car underneath him as well.
Exactly. I think we're going to see that tonight as well with all these comers and goers, but you can't count out Kaler just yet in that 58 machine. Even though he is there in the back, we still have a good 70 laps here to go, and if they get green flag runs going, we know how strong he is. I would not be surprised to see him back up at the front of this field in due time.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's going to be something to keep your eye on as well, just on the left side of your screen on that timing tower. Keep an eye on that number 58 car and watch him make his way up the field, much like I would expect Sean Campbell to do in most of the road races we've seen. Even at the end of last season in the road race, we saw Sean start from the rear and come back to win the race. And I mean, he challenged himself to do that after I think I silently encouraged him a little bit as well. But it was great to watch nonetheless. And we'll see if we can see the same here from Jared Kaler. But for now, back up at the front, it's still Sean Campbell and Austin Farr, your two leaders. Sean technically in the first position with Austin in second. Both students for Tennessee and then Randolph Community College. And we'll see them battle it out throughout the night. So unfortunately for the fans in the chat, I think it was Jared that was mentioned he wanted to see a little bit more Jared Kaler and Austin Farr battles, but that may have to wait for a little bit longer in this race to see any of that. A little bit further down the field, Esteban Munoz for FIU started way down there in the midfield and has worked his way up 16 positions. Currently sits in 7th alongside Athena Clare from St. Clair. And now we're on our way with our next restart. Sean Campbell away, good on the low side. Austin Farr not quite sleeping at the wheel, but he's got a good car length gap from him to Sean Campbell in front. Derek Jennings is looking to the low side on Austin Farr. Austin goes nice and high there, giving a nice amount of room there for UNT to try to find a line if they can, but looks like it's still 2x2 as we head into turns 1, 2, and onto the back straight, Joshua.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see from Sean Campbell right there, because you see, as he was setting up turn 1 right there, he went a little high, entered high, but then dove to the bottom there through the apex of that corner. So it's really interesting to see those restarts as we see Austin Farr challenging him for the lead.
Yeah, this is not too characteristic of Austin either. We've talked to him a number of times before. He says, I just like to sit back and wait, let things come to me. I'm not going to force anything there. But here he is making a move on Sean Campbell. I wouldn't be surprised, Nick, if they go door to door for quite some time here. But looks like Sean might have a little bit of help from behind just for a moment there to help him keep some clean air flowing over that car and on down behind him as well. And that helped him to keep that car just in front of Austin Farr as they come back onto the back straight.
Oh, we're coming down the back straight now. I don't know about you boys, but I'm looking at this 23 car right now here of Andrew Williams out of Clemson. Maybe a little bit of bias here, but he's definitely, he's getting a bit feisty out here. He's a bit slow and steady, but he's definitely picked up some steam. He's getting off 4 here. He may get a good run and maybe make a little bit of noise here with these boys.
Yeah, it looks like he's a fan there of the center line, not going all the way up towards the wall there, but not coming all the way down either. He's going to get a bump from behind Esteban, helping him in front of Austin Farr. Knew that was the move to do so. Munoz can take advantage of that opportunity and sneak his way down there to the low side and now get a fender just underneath the rear bumper of Sean Campbell. So we'll see how that fares out. Usually you get a much nicer exit off the high line, and Sean does do that here. But now it's going to be Austin Farr and Munoz working together a little bit here, coming down the back stretch into turns 3 and 4. Andrew Williams still up there on the high side. Munoz getting a long way along Sean Campbell here. We'll see if Campbell's drive out of the corner does him any good. But no, it's pretty much even Stevens, Joshua, as we're coming across the line one more time.
This is an incredible race, and as we're expecting here from Auto Club, there's a plethora of cars that are under a blanket up there at front. You see them all jockeying for position, trying those different lines. I was expecting that high lane to get a little bit better of run, but it seems like that low lane is able to hold it a little bit. Will be interesting to see out of turn 2 here if Esteban can hold on to that, but it looks like Williams will have that better run.
Yeah, Williams got the run for now, but as things are going to change so many times across this race, nobody is out of it yet, including Jared Kaler. As I quickly rolled down my screen, he's already up to 23rd position from the end, so he's made up about 7 positions in a couple of last times, so we'll keep track of that. But yeah, Andrew Williams still up front for now. Guys getting a little bit more strung out now, I should say, in the top 5 or so, but I'm sure that'll change in no time at all. Just the last lap, I saw Austin DeLong get a little bit tight coming into turn 1 and had a slight brush of the wall, if anything. I doubt it would show as scratched paint on that beautiful Penn College of Technology livery. But either way, a bit of a dicey moment now, and he looks to have backed off just a hair and gotten that race car back under control as Sean Campbell, again, Joshua looking for that low side coming into 3 and 4 here. But Munoz, I think, is going to make this an interesting battle here and maybe make this 3 wide pretty quickly.
Oh, exactly. It's really interesting to see these leaders fight this out, because I kind of anticipated to get a little single file action here as we have a full 80-lap race, but these leaders are saying heck no to that. They're wanting to get up there and lead this race as soon as possible, and we're seeing that with, it looks like Campbell, they're side drafting as much as he can to try to pull back Williams to him.
Yeah, and he's doing a good job of it. I might, we've seen Esteban Munoz before be one of the more aggressive drivers in the field. Definitely has had his fair share of instances that he's been involved in, but you can see what that gets you here. Aggressive moves get you aggressive overtakes, and that's how he gets to second place from 21 positions further down the field. Started down there, and now he's technically in the lead. He's got his nose in front of Andrew Williams. We'll see if he can maintain the speed off the corner. Andrew looks like he's got a tiny bit more exit speed than he does. Sean Campbell's trying to pick which car he's going to follow here, Nick. But now we've got a 4-car train on the top side. Esteban's going to get hung out to dry here, I suspect.
Big run here from the top. Sean Campbell pushing Andrew Williams to lead. Just want to make a little note here. This is the first time ever that Andrew Williams is leading a CIL oval race. Good job for him, getting some laps left for that Clemson University machine. Here comes Sean Campbell off turn 2. He's got a run. He may be looking to the inside. No, he's going to give him a little bump down the side, be a little bit friendly like that. Let's see what he's got here for turn 3 and 4. He's going to dive to the inside. The answer there is no. He's going to look to the high lane here. Maybe just like to file on in. Good question. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
But a good question I want to be having for these boys right now is, are they saving tires at all? Because these boys are racing pretty hard right now.
It certainly doesn't look like they are, and at a track temperature currently of 133 degrees, so it's going up ever so slightly here as it crosses about 1:30 p.m. in simulator time. I think that track's only going to continue to get hotter right now as these two cars get really close together, just barely avoiding contact between Campbell and Williams there. So great job by both drivers, demonstrating excellent car control heading through turns 1 and 2 on board. Now you see the steering canted over slightly to the left. Each driver prefers a slightly different offset on board with Ricky Paz in the number 19 car, up 3 positions now to sit currently in 3rd. He's got FIU for company just behind him, so he's going to be keeping an eye on that mirror, keeping an eye on the nose of that FIU machine, and making sure that he is exactly where he wants him to be. Now Sean Campbell changing his mind again, trying to go down to the low side, now back up to the high side to try to get in line with as many cars as he can to help him carry that speed through the turns. And Austin Williams doesn't seem to care too much. He's got that low line locked down pretty good. Austin Farr making a little bit of headroom here, or making a little bit of headway, I should say, getting a pretty solid corner exit from pretty low for Tennessee. He's got no help from behind, but neither really does Andrew Williams, so we'll see if that changes position. Coming here into turn 3, Austin dives down to the corner pretty early there, trying to shorten that distance as much as possible, right on top of the white boundary line there, and he's going to squeeze right up on front of Andrew Williams' expert move there, Joshua, from Austin Farr.
Exactly. That was textbook right there, and it's really interesting to see these drivers work all of these different lanes. Some drivers are migrating up toward the top, and we're seeing a couple drivers stay down there on the bottom because they're able to get a little bit of a dive bomb down there. I haven't really seen anyone quite pull off the slide job just yet, but that's something to keep in mind as we get later on into this race.
Yeah, most definitely. I can't say I've seen one either, as we see UNT diving out from inside the line there. That was a gap that was closing very quickly. He decided to shoot that gap, and that 12-car machine made it over safely. Now he's down there on the low side. Also having a good race here tonight so far, up 11 positions to this point, 18 laps in, about to be 19 laps in as we cross the line. So he is up into 5th position, and we've got a yellow flag just behind. I've got Tristan Yoder on my screen tumbling down the timing tower, and he is upside down. Looks like just about everybody actually made it through there pretty cleanly, but I was too focused up on front, Joshua, to see what happened there.
Yeah, I was too. Maybe a little bit of a premature commentator's curse, because I just looked over at our timing bar and saw him there, I think in the 8th position. I was about to mention that he was having a good run, but then I saw he just went tumbling down that ticker over here. So maybe a little bit of maybe I'll take the blame for that.
You know, we are known for the commentator's curse here. Oh no, he got turned, it would seem. Either he started to squeeze up there, and the car behind was, too close, obviously, or he got turned by the car on the top side. Either way, I'm sure that the iRacing officials will have a look at that. In fact, they already have done. Tristan Yoder was given blame for that penalty. He gets an EOL penalty. Not that it will matter all that much for him. That's a pretty well-wrecked race car at the end of the night. Let's catch back up really quickly with Jared Kaler. We saw him get involved in that incident about 10 laps ago as we see the cars come down here onto pit lane. Jared Kaler in 16th already, and I think he's coming in the pit lane as well. Nick?
Yes, we got Jared Kaler coming down the pit lane right now. A lot of cars. Pit road's going to be extremely busy, expecting lots of 4-tire changes. Looking at the lap chart right now, we're 20 laps into an 80-lap race. These guys have 4 sets of tires, 3 in the pits and the 1 they started on. So if you're thinking the 4-stop strategy to split it in 20-lap segments, you're definitely thinking right here is, we got, I think it's Hagan Johnson there sliding through his pit, but Kaler's in the box. And a car already went through. Maybe he missed his box, but it's Sean Campbell is getting out of the pits. He's going to win the race off pit road, just a little bit ahead of Austin Farr. I think that was Munoz third.
That might have been Munoz there in the number 9. Yeah, coming out right behind Austin Farr. So it looks like Campbell, Farr, and Munoz is gonna be how it shakes down here. It looks like on my timing tower, I've got Andrew McCall still out, and so is Bradley E. Daniels. So of course they will be on older tires at this point. And I suspect that they will struggle coming off of this yellow flag into the restart. And those tires have done 20 laps now, Joshua. At this point, that's going to be a tough sell for me. I think we're going to see them fall down the timing tower pretty quickly here.
Exactly, and a big thing that they have to be cautious of too is to not spin those tires on this restart, because with those old worn tires, it is so easy with all the power that's under the hood here to just get those wheels spinning. You just can't get moving, then you'll get run over from behind with those guys on fresh rubber. So it'll be really interesting to see how this restart shakes out, but I agree with you. I expect them to fall down that timing tower rather quickly.
Yeah, I think Brad Daniels recognized his mistake there, and he has now come into the pit lane, leaving only Andrew McCall there for Purdue University out to fend for himself on the only set of tires in this field that have done more than a lap. So we'll see how that plays out. We've seen it play out pretty drastically before in previous iRace or previous CIL seasons. In fact, when we had a little bit shorter races, even with those, tire strategy would come into play. And I think if I saw Sean Campbell and Austin Farr come in for tires, guys, I would go in for tires as well. I'm gonna trust their judgment on that one and know that they're probably making the right call, even with the amount of experience differential between the two, you might say. Not an overall iRacing, but just on the oval side, Austin Farr has done many oval races, and Sean Campbell has not nearly done quite as many. And it doesn't seem to matter all that much because they are matching each other pretty perfectly here on track at the moment.
Exactly. I think we are still in for a treat of a race here between Campbell and Farr. You see them up there in the front, and it looks like Campbell did have a couple of his competitors taken out early, as we were mentioned earlier with Kaler having that EOL penalty, but he's been working his way through. But I think these two are going to be battling it out all night, and it's going to really be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, indeed. And with these cautions that are coming out here, that presents additional opportunities to guys like Kaler that perhaps have a little bit more pace than where they're currently situated in the field. That gives them opportunities to make up some positions right off the start. You see, top tier drivers all the time doing excellent off of restarts, as we're about to see here. The difference in tires up at the front of the field. Andrew McCall waiting for that green flag, and here he goes. He is off again, manages to not spin the tires, so does not fall victim to the cardinal sin there. And Austin Farr, though, I think is going to take advantage of Andrew McCall before they even really get down into turn one. Turns in early, and you can just see the difference in speed that these guys have on their fresh tires. Everybody going down low, avoiding Andrew McCall there on the high side. He can just not do anything to keep the speed up in the car through that corner there, Nick.
Yeah, I think right now Andrew McCall is facing I think he's going to play the long game here tonight. Maybe he's thinking we're going to go 60 laps here, and he may hit at the lap 40 mark and try to make these laps back up. But we got Austin Farr, Sean Campbell coming off of turn 4 here. He's got a bit of a run going. He's going to look to the inside a little bit, see if he can get some clean air on the nose. Tucked up right inside that 79 car there as they go down to turn 1. Will he fight? And the answer to that is no, he's not going to fight just yet. He's going to tuck on in there and just, try to size up his competition. We got side by side Ryan Lucich and Andrew Williams back there for P4 and 5. Andrew Williams there using the run of the top line. He's going to take it down into turn 3 there for you there, John.
Taking it down into turn 3 indeed, and doing a good job of it, I might add. Andrew Williams has really been impressing me here tonight so far, and he has got Ryan Lucich just behind, as you mentioned, UNT doing a really good job here as well. We haven't seen as much UNT recently up in sort of the top 5 of the field, but he is doing very well for himself, up 10 positions at the moment from his starting rated slot. And Jared Kaler just behind Ryan Lucich already. What did I mention just now at the restart, guys? This opens up opportunities for guys like Kaler, especially on restarts, and he, I think, took advantage of probably between 5 and 6 positions within the space of a lap and a half or so. So we're seeing, really, it doesn't really matter what sort of penalty you give these guys. They're going to work their ways back through, Joshua, and find their way back to the front again.
Yeah, really, here we are, maybe a good 15 or so laps after he got that EOL penalty, and here he is back already upside in the top 10. Really cool to see him work his way through that field, and as we see here, the leaders a little bit tamer this time around in this restart as they're getting single file out here. A little bit of jockeying for position. They're back in the field a little bit. But as we see, I think the leaders are now starting to take that tire conservation into play as they're looking to just ride it out here for a little bit.
Yeah, now we're really into the thick of the race, 25 laps in out of 80. And yeah, I do agree. I think it's calming down a little bit at the front. Still want to note that Austin Farr and Sean Campbell are choosing very different lines through the corners. Austin always opted for the lower line. And that was Carl Lemkel there on your screen just a moment ago. Unfortunately involved in a wreck not too long ago, but he currently sits in 13th position for St. Louis University and an alumni of the particular university as well. And I think he is second in the alumni field, as it were. Brett Bennett, who I think we remember started towards the back of the field or so, or maybe in 12th actually, now that I'm reading my screen correctly, and now has worked his way up into 11th, and he currently leads the alumni field for Baylor University down there in Texas. And I saw his car drop down my timing tower, but I think that was a glitch for me. And back, meanwhile, Sean Campbell and Austin Farr still up there at the front, working together. Esteban Munoz, I think, guys, Munoz is on for a great chance of the Hard Charger Award if he maintains any position sort of up there in the top 5 territory. I mean, he started down there in 23rd, so if he does well enough to finish in the top 5, I'd say that's a job well done for the FIU team. And the lone FIU car out here, no Christian Gomez in the field or Luis Diaz for him to get along with too much to work his strategy together with tonight. But either way, doing fine alone as it was. And then Austin Farr and him kind of shuffling position around a little bit at the moment. 3 wide just behind them, with Jared Kaler really joining the top 5 in force once more, with Andrew Williams just up above him. And now Jared Kaler, Joshua, he's right back on the bumper of Austin Farr, looking the low side.
Yeah, there he is, looking that low side indeed. I don't know if he's going to get too big of a run here, but he'll try that side draft down this big sweeping front stretch. And he's here. He's back up in the top 10, cracking into that top 5 here. And as you see, we have cars under a blanket. It looks like maybe a 10-car breakaway from the pack, and anything can happen here, and anyone can come out on top.
Yeah, nice little 10-car breakaway. I love to see these because it really changes the dynamic of the race. And we'll see how it plays out for the guys just behind them as well. Austin Farr and Jared Kaler banging doors a little bit there, getting pretty feisty with each other once more again on the back straight. And I've got a warning for car number 25 at the moment. That's a little bit further down the field. But either way, these guys are getting a little bit feisty. This is not normal for the Austin Farr that we've seen. I don't know if this is more Jared Kaler instigating this, or if this is Austin Farr instigating this, or if it's just sort of the context of the situation. And maybe that's just Auto Club, guys. I don't know. I mean, you're telling me it's pretty bumpy out here. I would certainly believe it based on the way that these cars are handling, especially down that back straight there.
I know just from talking to these two boys, the bumps may be a little bit of it, but I think, Jared Kaler may just be telling Austin Farr, you thought I was done, but I'm back here now. I'm going to give you a little love tap right there. Just let you know, you can't get too calm now. I'm right here. But Sean Campbell's still leading this race. Esteban Munoz giving them good shows off the high line. I just want to say right now, I'm loving this tight pack here, about 10-car breakaway here. And just a little mention to the rookie, Brett Bennett. This is his first premier race tonight. He is limited up there in P9. He is having the time of his life running up there with the big boys.
Yeah, he's doing an amazing job for Baylor at the moment, just up there in 9th position at the moment, right in front of Ryan Lusich, and now in front of Derek Jennings for Grand Canyon University. Love to see this. I mean, this is why we set up the league like this, so you got guys that can get their feet wet with that prospect series and learn the ropes a little bit, and then come mix it up in here. And you see, for guys that have, plenty of skill, as is clearly on display right now, that makes no problem with that whatsoever. So just up in front of him, and actually now on his low side, is the dangerous man on track at the moment. Jared Kaler has dropped back a little bit from Austin Farr. Austin right up next to Sean Campbell here, and they don't really seem to mind who's in front or who's behind between Austin and Sean, but Austin's going to take that lead position away for the time being, and Sean's going to follow him through there on the loan line. Try to do a bit of an over-under, as a matter of fact. Don't see too many of those on oval racing, but Sean is an accomplished road racer, as we've mentioned so many times before. He knows how to make that move work every single time, whether it's down into the bus stop chicane on Spa, or if it's in and out of turns 1 and 2 on Auto Club. I've never quite seen a stock car do that, I think, on a oval track before, but Sean teaches me something new every single day. And a couple guys getting shuffled out here a little bit further back. Hagen Johnson, close moment with the wall, as well as Andrew Williams just a moment ago, but they're still safe and sound down there, sitting in 7th and 8th positions so far. And this top 11 breakaway, Joshua, continues to pull away from that pack behind.
Yeah, and I'm loving what I'm seeing here with this breakaway. The leaders have kind of separated a little bit, but as you see with this pack right here, they're still jockeying for position. You still have Jared Kaler up there trying to find his way around. It looks like he's sticking there to that bottom lane, but that high lane seems to be having the momentum working on their side. It's really interesting to see how those drivers are able to dive into that corner and make up all that position that was gained on that high side earlier.
It absolutely is. It looks like the only thing that using that low sign compromises is if you come off the corner and there's a car up there on top, if he chops down, you have to have some pretty quick hands to evade there. And Jared Kaler almost thought about having to do that there a moment ago with Andrew Williams. But, yep, looking towards that middle line now for Kaler to see if he can get a toe off of Esteban Munoz, the number 9 FIU car just in front there. And Munoz is going to give him the draft and slightly pull out off the wall to give the UNC Charlotte man a little bit of help here to get back up toward the front. Really a nice breakaway for the two lead cars at the moment. Austin Farr and Sean Gamble just under a second or so up the track from this pack here. I doubt it'll stay like that though too much, guys. These packs always seem to close down. There's always going to be an instant. Heck, we're only 34 laps in here out of 80 laps at the CIL at Auto Club. And Josh, it's been a fantastic race so far, and if it continues like this, I can't wait to see how it finishes.
Well, absolutely. We've seen some contact earlier on in the race, obviously with the drop of the green flag, and we have had some incidents, but right now we're into a good green flag run as we see drivers get a little bit of a contact there up into the wall. Don't think that'll bring out a caution, but drivers are now thinking that maybe it's go time as they're feeling the wear of their tires, and now I think we might be able to start to see who's been saving their equipment and start to get some comers and goers.
Yeah, I would love to see that onboard shot just a moment ago of Andrew Williams getting up and close and personal with that wall. That was an excellent car control to keep that car not only pointing in a straight line, but with a decent amount of momentum as well. He only lost a couple of positions off of that and maintains his spot within that pack, generally speaking. But yeah, Jared Kaler has now made his way up towards the front of this little breakaway pack and is trying to close down the leaders, who have opened up another 0.6 of a second interval between these guys than the last time I looked at it, as a matter of fact. So that's starting to run away with them. I doubt it's going to continue like this for all that long, and as you mentioned just a second ago, we might see what sort of tire conditions are out there at the moment. If Jared had to use up all his tires getting through the field, that won't help him too much later on into this race, and that could pay dividends for these guys around him.
Go ahead, Nick.
Another car that we need to be looking out for right now. He started dead last. He's in the lead of that second breakaway pack. Kenneth Talbot right there in P12. He has made his way up from 30th. He is definitely looking to be cooking right now. He's got Norberg pushing him. He's looking to go after that lead pack. He could make some noise here. Yeah, Norberg's a great guy to have behind you as well. Plenty of experience in this series and really knows how to set these cars up pretty well and make his way through the pack. So if they can close up on that lead pack that's about just under 2 seconds away from him or so, then I think they're within a great shot. So yeah, great job by Kenneth Talbot, doing a really great job here tonight. Ryan Fenty not far behind these guys either. And Ryan Fenty, I think, has actually won a CIL race at the end of last season or so, if I'm remembering correctly. But either way, all these guys doing a great job. St. Joseph's College in New York there for the number 26 machine. And a little bit further on back, looks like we've got Carl Lindford still in 16th there. Jeff Pete and him trading positions back and forth. Austin DeLong for Penn College of Technology in this group as well. Jeff Pete there on your outside for Minnesota Twin Cities. And then a nice helping of RMU University just behind him. Robert Morris with Bradley E. Daniels, Alexander Gagnon, Ethan Head back there as well, with another Tennessee driver in the field. So this second pack is also pretty interesting to watch, I might say, guys. Plenty of shuffling around for position.
as we cross the line. 38 laps, almost to half distance here, Joshua, for this race.
Yeah, and you see cars are starting to get single file around this track. I've started to notice that high lane is what most of the drivers are migrating to, but throughout the corners, since this track is so wide, there's so many options these drivers can take to get through that corner, and that's what we're seeing, especially down here on the back straightaways. I think that's what's blowing up some of these groups is we have people side drafting on each other, so they're not necessarily working together, which is allowing our two leaders to pull away.
Yeah, and pulled away indeed they are. It is now a 2.3 second gap back to Jared Kaler from our leaders here. Austin Farr and Sean Campbell are in a bit of a race of their own at the moment here as we come just about to half distance. These guys have been attached to the hip essentially for the first 40 laps of this race. I don't think Sean Campbell's been further down than about 5th, and neither really has Austin Farr. Both of them started up at the front of the pack and have continued to run there. Jared Kaler started up there with them as well, starting in 4th position, and dropped down to the end of the field and has made his way all the back up there. So in terms of travel distance there, I think Jared Kaler wins the cake for that one, but it doesn't really matter because the man in front right now is Austin Farr for Tennessee. Tennessee loves to see their man up front there in the chat, and Sean Campbell doesn't have all the fans in the world on the oval side yet, but I'm sure he's about to with the sort of performances he's been putting on here recently, Joshua.
Well, absolutely. He's got a fan in me. Seeing what he's able to do in these cars is just astonishing because he's able to take these cars no matter where he starts in the field. You know, he's always said that he's not been the greatest at qualifying, although he did have a really good qualifying. I think maybe even getting pole here tonight. But no matter where he starts in the field, he's able to work his way through, and that's on both sides as well, road and oval. So he is a well-rounded driver that is going to be making noise for plenty of years to come here in the CIL.
And not only in the CIL, and plenty of other leagues as well, I might suspect. And I don't believe Sean for a second when he says he's bad at qualifying. I think that's just Sean being modest. He has a tendency to do that. He's a pretty laid-back character, and if we get to interview him at the end of the night, I'm sure we'll see some of that. But right now, Athena Leclerc for St. Clair College having a nice little battle here coming across the main straight at the moment. She is currently running in, if I can find it on the screen at the moment, 8th place currently in that breakaway pack. And doing a pretty good job as well, I might add. Brett Bennett just around her as well, with Hagen Johnson just in front. So Baylor, Clemson, and St. Clair College all in a grouping together there, battling it out. Andrew Williams also backed into this pack as well, the number 23 machine, currently running in 9th position. And Nick, your Clemson team, doing pretty well right now. Hagen Johnson currently in 7th, Andrew Williams currently in 9th. I think they've got plenty of pace in their cars.
Oh, well, my boys over here, Hagen and Andrew, they got a little bit of damage. They've been hitting the wall a tiny little bit. Drew a little bit more over there than Hagen. But Hagen last night, he was taking the business to Sean and the prospect. He was keeping up with him the entire night. I definitely, was a bit sad to see Hagen get hit so early on in that caution, very first caution race, actually. But he's made his way back up. He's probably right now just playing the save game. In about 8 laps time, we're probably going to be seeing our green flag pit stop. He's giving a little bit of the business there to Munoz in the rear bumper, but right now, Hagen and Drew, they're definitely, pushing things forward there with their Clemson esports machines, making sure that they're doing the university proud.
Yeah, they're certainly trying to hunt down Esteban Munoz, that's for sure, because a long way up the field there from Esteban is Ryan Lusich and Jared Kaler, a full 2.5 seconds between them. So we have two two-car breakaways. We have Austin Farr and Sean Campbell up at the front of the field at the moment, and 2.2 seconds separates them. And Jared Kaler and Ryan Lusich on your screen right now, the UNC Charlotte and the UNT machine, so that's University of North Texas up there in Denton. And then another 2.5 seconds back to Esteban Munoz. So 2 separate breakaway packs and a long green flag run here, Josh. How's this going to play into pit stop strategies? Guys are probably starting to think about tires and fuel already.
Well, absolutely. You heard Nick mention it earlier. We're anticipating green flag stops here coming up in a little bit, and it's going to be really interesting to see if some drivers try to do an undercut, try to pit early, see if they can break down some of that gap that our leaders have gotten, or if some drivers try to stretch it as far as possible and catch a caution. So tire conservation and tire strategy is really going to come into play here as we stay under this long green flag run.
Yeah, a long one indeed. I love to see it as well. Lap 44, so well past the halfway point now out of this 80-lap race here in California. And things have not stopped heating up pretty much all race. Might have cooled down a little bit there a few laps ago, but guys are still battling it out pretty much up and down the field with Austin Farr and Campbell. You can see those top 5 cars, they're all on the same pit strategy. And a little bit further back, it starts to get a little bit mixed up. Leclerc also on that same pit strategy, but Bennett and Paz on slightly different strategies for tires at the moment. But I don't think that'll affect them too much. I think their current set is pretty much about the same as it was. Munoz has not pitted at all. Neither has Bennett actually on the screen at the moment. So a number of cars have not come down the pits and have 44 lap old tires on their cars, which might tell us a little bit about why these packs have broken away so much, guys.
The Clemson Brigade of Hagan Johnson, Andrew Williams, they are in the box right now. They're getting their tire changed. If I was them right now, I'm about 5 laps too early on that. Knowing we had basically a 60 lap race from our last restart, I would definitely split it half and half on the 30 lap mark. But they're trying for the undercut. They're seeing if they can make some pace back up. More cars in the pit lane now. We got Brett Bennett in the pit lane. It looks to be Ricky Paz. That looks like Andrew McCall. He's finally, coming out of the pits. He did 45 laps on those tires. Good Lord. What a tire-saving effort by that man. Is that Ryan Whitlock back there? He may be in the pit lane. He getting some service on that machine. As we go back to the lead here, we got Austin Farr and Sean Campbell. I would be inclined to think Sean is using that draft, saving a little bit of gas, saving a little bit of tires. Definitely maybe playing Austin Farr here for a little bit of a dummy, using a bit of a road turn there to basically, keep his tires and keep his fuel in check.
Yeah, I don't know if too many people can do that to Austin Farr, but if anybody could, it'd definitely be Sean Campbell. But I suspect these guys are going to come into the pits at the same time. They've been working together great all race long to stay up there at the front without really any challenge behind for the last 20 laps or so. And the only thing I would expect in terms of a split strategy would be for these two leading pair to come in at the same time, and then maybe Kaler and Lucid try to hang it out for a few more laps and hope for a caution or otherwise. That might benefit them. But that's a little bit of a risky strategy here with about 33 laps to go in this race. But nobody coming down to the pits yet in terms of the leaders here. They are staying out for at least one more lap, if not a few more after that. I think I might agree with you, Nick. They're a little bit early there on the pit stops from the previous drivers we saw down there. The Clemson team looks like Austin DeLong from Penn College Technology is coming off the pit lane. NC State in the pits as well. So Matthew Nordberg coming down. Looks like Ethan Head for Tennessee down there as well. Alabama at Huntsville with a pretty wrecked up car, I think, on my screen, also in their pit box. But yeah, guys are kind of coming down when they think is the right time to get a new set of tires and a fresh batch of fuel in that car. As I've just got cars going 3 wide here, very loose actually into turns 3 and 4 with Esteban Munoz. Munoz up, taps the wall, actually comes down and bounces off of the 23 machine to bring out the caution. The 23 was totally unaffected by that. Andrew Williams didn't even need the car control to save him. The car saved him in that situation. He did that masterfully, but Munoz getting a little bit tight, looked like up in the wall, and Joshua, this is what the leaders were waiting for, a chance to come in and pit under yellow flag conditions.
This changes everything because from 12th on back, we have drivers a lap down. So this gives those leaders a chance to continue to maintain their position, but come down and get that fresh rubber with those new tires. So this kind of changes everything. Some big notes here. In 6th, we have Kenneth Talbot. In 7th, we have Jeff Pete. In Talbot up 24 positions. And this plays dramatically into his favor.
Yeah, that's amazing to see for Talbot. This is going to be huge for that man there if he can hang on to that spot at all. But Jeff Pete for Minnesota Twin Cities also there just behind him in 7th position, up 18 spots from a starting slot. And as the FIU machine makes its way off of pit road there, Carl Lemkel on your screen with Robert Morris University just behind him. So they're in 8th and 9th positions. Cody Badenhauer currently fishing out that top 10 grouping there. So this is going to be pretty crazy here, guys. I must say this is really shaking up this race. 30 laps to go, and I think anything can still happen here, but it looks pretty good for a couple drivers in particular, I might say, Nick.
You've got a lot of big names that are now trapped in that one lap down scenario, the classic NASCAR scenario of a caution under green flag pit stops. Hagan Johnson, Derek Jennings, Ricky Paz, Andrew Williams, Ryan Fenty, even Brett Bennett, who was running up near the front. a lot of cars are trapped a lap down, but the cars that were not trapped a lap down, like you have Jeff Pete right there. That's a big deal for him. Usually not up near the front. Bradley Daniels, Cody Fadenhauer, they're not trapped a lap down right now. They're in the catbird seat right now. They could make some noise, as well as this gives the one opportunity for Jared Kaler to get right up behind Austin Farr. Maybe we can see a little bit of action.
Absolutely. This totally eliminates any advantage that this group had in their small breakaways. I say small, 2.5 seconds is not a small breakaway at all. That is a pretty large football-sized field you got to cross there to get up to the guys in front of you if you wanted to do that. But that's totally neutralizes it all the way up and down the field and puts these guys on much more equal footing heading here into the closing stages of this race. But of course, we'll see how it all fleshes out here. I tend to get a little bit confused with who's on what lap when we come through as many cautions and pit cycles as we're on now. But it looks like still on my timing screen, it is Austin Farr in the lead, technically speaking, with a few other cars yet to come down the pit lane, I think. I can't quite tell on my timing sheet sometimes. But either way, back out on track once more with UNC just behind in tow. And I'm sure the other drivers that we saw come down there, such as Sean Campbell and Ryan Lusich. Got to shout out to that UNT team. They've been doing a really good job here tonight. Ryan Lusich has had a really fast forward under him most of this night here in the Mean Green Racing Machine. And if he sits in fourth for the rest of this race, I think that's a job well done. If he makes his way on the podium and kicks any one of Farr, Kaler, or Campbell off, that's a crazy accomplishment there, Joshua.
Absolutely. He's just been, I will call him that silent stalker there tonight. He's just kind of been hanging out a little bit, working his way through the field, keeping a clean nose on that car, making a little bit of aggressive moves, but when they're needed to work up through those positions. So it's going to be really interesting now that he has this opportunity to get that fresh air out front to see what he takes with it. But one note as well, it looks like maybe Jared Kaler got out of pit road before Sean Campbell. So maybe Sean Campbell will be restarting here in the third position. So he won't be out there out front like he has on those previous restarts.
Yeah, I think you're right. And they have a whole bunch of lapped traffic just in front of them as well to clear. So this is going to get a little bit messy here at the restart. We'll try to keep it all straight. But yeah, that's going to be Jared Kaler in front with Austin Farr behind, and then Sean Campbell at this restart, which I think you're right, Josh. It's going to make it pretty interesting here. We know Austin Farr is good at the restarts. We talked about that at the top of the broadcast. Jared Kaler's no slouch either, but this is a gate tricky here. So either way, it looks like the number 9 Esteban Munoz did get an EOL to start with for that last incident. That is the second time I think he's been in the wall here tonight. Unfortunately, after having a really great run and running up there with the leaders for a good portion of the starting phase of this race. But no more of that for him. He is going to fall to the back of the field at the minimum, and we'll see if race control comes up with anything else out of that instant. But guys, pace car lights are out, and we have another race on our hands. It looks like they have filtered the lap cars through, and so it is indeed going to be Jared Kaler to lead us away here at this next green flag. So I believe this was only our 4th caution of the night, so doing pretty well, I'd say, so far. A neat mix of strategy that this threw in here as well. So a well-timed caution in terms of our viewing audience having a great race to watch here. But pace car is going to pull down into the pit lane, and Austin Farr goes nice and early there. Obviously a master of the restarts, as he always has been. Now Jared Kaler going to slot down in between Austin Farr and Sean Campbell and make it single file for the top 4 with the Ryan Lusich number 12 machine there in 4th position heading into turn 1. Joshua?
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see what these leaders do here as with this restart, because we just came off about a 30 to 40 lap run, so we could be going, there's the potential to go green to the end here, so what positions you make up here could really help you as we get later on into this run.
And what a commentator's curse that was, because literally, as you said, a long green flag run, we have a couple cars in the background wrecking, man. You can't script it like that, I swear. We are the best at the commentator's curse. We had about 5 of them last week on the roadside, but that looks to be the 846 machine in the wall, not having a great time. Or no, 845 machine. So that's Brett Bennett in the wall in his first race up here with the Premier Series. Nick, your man, into the wall here. Looks like he may have had some help or so. I can't quite tell there.
If I'm looking at that, I'd say it's racing incident, or Brett just may have gotten a little bit too greedy there with some wine, and Ricky Paz just holding it straight there. Yeah, my boy Brett, he's got to learn a little bit more there, but that's just unfortunate there. He hit Ricky Paz and a couple more cars just getting involved there, but it's unfortunate there. He was doing me proud tonight. I was really excited to see him run up near the front, but maybe he hasn't used his fast repair yet. Maybe he can, get some damage repaired there. Ricky Paz is a bit hurt there. We're riding on board Andrew Williams to see what happened to him. Never mind. Never mind. Maybe Ricky Paz. He may have dipped down a little bit there, boys. I mean, it may be a 1-2 punch there.
Yeah, I'm sure race control will take a close look at that one, and if penalties need to be assessed, I'm certain that they will be. Race control always looks at most of the incidents that occur across the track, and many of them we can't even see, some small ones as well. They hand out warnings throughout the night, letting drivers know, hey, you're getting a little bit close to what we consider the legal line there, so you need to back off a little bit. And I think one could have been dished out maybe a little bit early there, but either way, looks like Esteban Munoz is making his way around to unlap himself. Join up with the back of the pack. Matthew Norberg and Brett Bennett chatting around on the comms here at the moment, discussing that last instance. I don't think they're quite agreeing on exactly what happened, but race control will sort that out nonetheless. So 55 laps into this 80-lap race. We don't have all that many left, guys, but these three cars up here at the front, and they're just the title of this race, right? This is the headline. Farr, Kaler, and Campbell up front. Who's going to win? Joshua, who do you got from this point, man? It's going to be close, I think, either way.
Man, Austin Farr and Sean Campbell, they've been battling it out all night long. I've really been interested with what Sean Campbell's been doing, though. He's been able to work some different lines, so I got my eye on him tonight.
I like that too. I'm gonna come to Nick. Let's see what you think out of that top three, or maybe somebody outside the top three. Do we think an outside choice for Lusage or somebody?
I'm a fan of the hero of the story of the Austin Farr, Jared Kaler beef. I'm all for Jared Kaler. I want to see that 58 car end up in victory lane, John.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that 58 car in victory lane in past seasons, and I think that's not a bad bet at all to suggest that UNC car will arrive there again. I would really personally like to see the number 12 make his way up there. I think, especially in the last half of this race, he's shown exactly what sort of pace he's had. I don't know if the track's really come to him and what he prefers in terms of a tight or loose car. But either way, I know that Farr, Kaler, and Campbell, all adaptable guys. Doesn't matter if the car's tight or loose. They can drive it in just about any condition. But if Luce is just feeling it right now, man, I think that UNT team has actually got a pretty good shot at bare minimum a podium here. So we'll see how that fleshes out. Also, Athena Leclerc doing great job up in the top 5 for St. Clair College. What a run for Athena Leclerc in that number 61 machine.
Absolutely. We have a couple of notables up here in the top 10. Bradley Daniels there in the 7th position, up 20 spots. Jeff Pete, we talked about him earlier in the 8th, well now 7th spot there, up 18 positions, thanks to that timely caution there during those green flag pit stops. But now 25 laps to go. It's go time. You got to take advantage of this restart. I anticipate there to be a lot of contact throughout the track here, and drivers try any line that's available as they go down into turns 1 and 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think guys are starting to recognize that there's a limited amount of time left on the table here to make something happen. So we gotta start going for moves that we might not have done earlier in the race. And of course, now the top 10 are all on the exact same age of tires. They went on lap 50, so still pretty fresh here and definitely enough life to make it to the end. As we come here to the next restart, Austin Farr there on the low side, and he's going to go pretty early here again and get the jump on Jared Kaler. Jared does exactly what he did last time, slot there in between Sean Campbell and Austin Farr, and force Lusage to go behind that trio there. Everybody slotting in line there. Athena Leclerc up into 5th position and going on that high line actually and losing a lot of pace compared to Carl Lempool there on the low side, making his way around her and is now on the tail of Ryan Lusage. A little bit of gap between those cars, about 4 car lengths back from Lusage to Lempool, but either way, too wide actually, a little bit further on back there with like Jeff Pete and Brad Daniels. Hagen Johnson also going for a 3-wide move there. Looks like Cody Fadenhauer, Jeff Pete there on the high side in the 119 Minnesota machine. It's definitely cooking up here, guys.
Yes, Hagen Johnson, he restarted in 13th position. He got caught a lap down a bit earlier. He did hit a little bit early, about 5 laps early in the rest of this field, but He knows how to go fast around this place in these cars. He will definitely find a way to make his name known by the end of it. But another car to look out for tonight, and I mean, the 23 car Ranger Williams, he led a little bit earlier in this race. He's still around the top 15. He could make some noise. But that 119, I'm just impressed with him tonight. You know, he not really seen too far up in the front that often. Running P9, that is a quality run right there from the 119 car.
A quality run indeed. 119 looking really good. And so far this race up front looks like Jared Kaler is going for a low pass on Austin Farr here into turn 1. Austin picking it around the outside, keeping plenty of minimum speed up in the center of that corner. We'll see how Jared Kaler's exit is here. Not quite as good as Farr's, but pretty evenly matched. Trying to get a little bit of side draft action on before they get all the way down there to 3. And it looks like he's going to have his nose just in front before we get to 3. Can he slide right in front of Austin Farr? There is not enough space to do that yet. These guys racing with a little bit more respect than they did earlier, even though that might have been just a bit of a tap there, Joshua, between the 2 drivers up front.
Yeah, really interesting to see Kaler there work that bottom line. I'm anticipating it'll be interesting to see if he'll dive to the bottom here or if he'll hold that middle line to get a little bit of a better run. But as you said, wasn't able to complete that slide job earlier. That high lane has really got that momentum on their side tonight.
Yeah, I'm really liking the high line. It's worked for Sean Campbell a good amount of this race, though he has mixed it up with other line choices. And now we have another caution a little bit further back in the field. Esteban Munoz in there again. I can't even make out that car is missing the front bumper on it at the moment. Other cars off in the field. It looks like Robert Morris and a smattering of other vehicles as well. Grand Canyon, so that's going to be Derek Jennings involved. There is Esteban Munoz, the number 9 machine. I think that might be the 3rd wreck of the night for Esteban. So we'll have to take a look and see how that one unfolded. We don't know who caused that yet at the moment, but I'm sure we will bring that to you as soon as we can. And here we are with a replay. That's Penn College in the blue car there in the center. That's Esteban again. Looked to be squeezing up high. Couldn't quite tell how much space was given between those 2 cars there, but looked like a bit of a carbon copy to our last caution there, Joshua.
Yeah, as you see here, just squeezing up a little bit. Maybe he didn't know he had that car there. I think that's the 09 there on his outside. But just another mistake there, and it's got to be a heartbreak for him because he was so strong early on in this race, fighting up there with the leaders. In fact, he looked like he could be one of the contenders tonight to bring home that checker flag, but just caught up in a couple of wrecks tonight. And as you see there, just trying to block a gap that someone was already there.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That's a tough one. We've seen it a number of times before, even in this race anyways, but hate to see it there. Esteban had plenty of pace in that car as well did many of the drivers around him, but let's see who gets collected there. The 09 car gets collected, and a couple others I think were affected by that wreck as well. But either way, it looks like the top 10 cars all doing fine outside of that one. Austin Farr in the lead position, Jared Kaler just behind, Sean Campbell in 3rd. I think I've said those names about 100 times tonight, probably in some variant of that top 3 order, and it certainly won't be the last time here as we're going on to lap 62. So under 20 laps to go here tonight, guys. Do we think there's any more strategy to be played out here, or are these guys just sending it on this set of tires? Joshua?
You know, I anticipate these drivers to really push these tires really to the limits here. We've been seeing these cautions now, and I think this might be a little bit of a theme here to the end of the race because drivers are wanting to take as much advantage as they can of all the positions that are right in front of their faces. So I think drivers are just really going to be aggressive here to the end of this one.
Yeah, I think I'd join you in thinking that one there as well. Nick, what about you, man? What do you think?
If I'm sitting about 9th, 10th on back, if I'm Hagan, Johnson, or Cody Faden now, I'm thinking, what's there to lose? I'm probably not faster than them just off raw pace. I may need a little bit of an advantage. I've got an extra tire set waiting for me on pit lane. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, I mean, it could play out a very interesting scenario. We've seen it work before, and with 19 to go here under our 6th caution of the night, it might have enough time in it left to see somebody come down pit lane, put on a fresh set of tires, and try to make their way back up there towards the front. But so far, looks like nobody really in the top 10 going for that strategy yet. Nobody really further on back the field. Looks like we got one taker there. couldn't quite make out who that was going down there. Looks like Purdue also making their way into the pit lane. Just kidding. He is going to do a fake and get back out there on track. Guys, already getting the commentators with that. I guess that's payback for the commentators' curse. But either way, Austin Farr and Jared Kaler up there at the front once more. Austin still has control of the restart here, Joshua. We've seen it 2 times in a row already. Is this going to be a carbon copy where we just see him get the restart perfectly, and then Jared Kaler has to slide in between him and Sean Campbell, and then it's just those 3 again for the next 15 laps?
100%. That's what my bet's on. I think you're gonna see Kaler dive down to that bottom lane once again, because you have seen those leaders protect that bottom to protect that dive bomb there into turn 1. And then turns 3 and 4, I think they kind of stick to the bottom, but for the most part, our leaders there have been sticking together to try to build some of that gap so they can then kind of sort it out amongst themselves to come down to the end here. So I'm kind of expecting them to either intentionally or unintentionally work together.
I like that a lot. Yeah, they may not be both wanting the same thing here, but either way, I think we might get that. If I'm Ryan Lusich, though, or Sean Campbell, I got to keep my eyes wide open, because as it comes down to the closing stages of this race, I expect Austin Farr and Jared Kaler to start to bump doors even more than we have seen up to this point in the race. Those guys like to get pretty racy with each other and be pretty liberal with the body contact. So we'll see if that changes at all here as the pace car pulls off there. And Austin lets Jared get pretty far in front of him there before he goes for the green. And there he is indeed, already back into that carbon copy as we just predicted. Sean Campbell not quite as close as last time, though, on Jared Kaler. I don't think that'll matter too much if he follows him down on the line into this corner, and indeed he does. So Ryan Lusich is going to have to settle for 4th place. He almost had a nose in on Sean Campbell on the high side in that corner, but he wasn't going to go for that. And now we've got about a 1-car length gap between each of these guys in the top 3 as we head into lap 65 here tonight. A little bit further down, Carl Lemkel sitting in 5th position right now for St. Louis University in that blue and gray car there, the 095 machine in his motion rig. You see it shaking around there, previously having a 3D printed wheel hub snap off on him. I hope he has much better luck here tonight, currently running the top 5. That is a great 12 positions up from his starting position, and doing well as Athena Leclerc just behind in 6th position, up 7 positions. Kenneth Talbot still 23 positions up. There's your hard charger of the night so far if he maintains that position as well there in 7th, not too far in front of Hagan Johnson as well for Clemson University. Still on board there with Kyle. You can see just how much he's having to work to keep that car straight and narrow. Coming here into the center of turns 3 and 4. Going to let Athena by there on the inside. Now maybe try to work together here as we've got, I think there was a errant caution popping up on the screen there. I think we're good to go still. Lusich and Campbell working down to the low side, trying to make something happen up on these leaders here, Joshua, but not quite able to make any inroads on Farr or Kaler yet.
No, not quite yet, and we're seeing these leaders really the field in general work together there on the straightaway, getting somewhat single file out there, but then you see in those corners trying those different lines, trying those dive bombs. You saw Athena there, she was able to go and work that slide job, and that's really the first time I saw that work tonight. So it's really going to be interesting to see how aggressive drivers get with that slide job now.
Yeah, I think it's become a very effective strategy, Nick. It looks like that Clemson team, Hagan Johnson, though, is in a pretty good position at the moment. He's going to be on the same sort of tires as the guys around him. Can he make his way up further in this field before the night's done with 14 to go?
He's going to have to really start to, just start kicking butt and taking names. He can't just sit behind cars anymore now. We're getting to that crunch time now. But as we got side by side down the backstretch, 58 and the 79. No, 58's going to tuck on in there. He's got Sean Campbell there. We may get a little bit of contact. 58 and 79, they're going bumper to bumper as they go into turn 3 and 4 there, John.
Yeah, a little bit of my spec me out of bump drafting happening here on the backstretch of Auto Club. Everybody making it out alive so far, but these top 4 guys, they all want the same piece of tarmac. They all want the same piece of road. They all want that trophy here at the end of the night, and it's going to get feisty up here at the front. Jared Kaler, great run. Off of 4, looking to the inside on Austin Farr here, going into 1, trying to keep him up a little bit higher on the track than I think Austin might like, but he doesn't mind so much. He's keeping that mid-corner speed well up and stealing that position back away from Jared Kaler. Jared's going to get some help behind, it looks like, from Sean Campbell, though. That's going to help him to get back up alongside Austin Farr. Sean tucks right back behind Austin, though, interestingly. So Sean trying to kind of make it an even battle here between these guys in front of him. Maybe he wants these guys to be side by side, because then we get moments like that Joshua where they almost connect there.
Exactly, and we got to think about, I'm having flashbacks to what happened last time we ran here at Auto Club with that turn 4 monster coming out with these drivers. I think if you're sitting in that 4th or 5th position, you're just licking your chops right now, because you see these drivers pushing their cars to the limits. It's bound to happen that one of them pushes it too far, gets up in that wall, and collects someone else. So I don't know if you want to necessarily be out in front right now.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, we've said it at other tracks that we've been to. Do you want to be leading going into the last lap or not? Sometimes it's not the best strategy. Sometimes it is, and I don't know how it works out for Auto Club, but I suppose we'll find out here in the matter of just over 10 laps here. 12 laps to go, and now 11 when they cross this line this time right now. And Kaler, Farr, Campbell, and Lucic up here at the front. We also have Athena Leclerc really joining this group here, and Kenneth Talbot not too far behind them either. I don't know if they'll be able to work together to make something happen just up in front here, Nick, but it's going to be tight either way.
Oh, if I'm Athena Leclerc right now, I'm thinking I'm in the catbird seat. I got 4 cars up here. They're definitely beating and banging. I think Farr and Kaler, they touch each other. Holy mama. We got ourselves one heck of a race right now, and Farr's just going to pull away with it. I think Kaler's got a bit of damage here, boys.
I think he's got a little bit of damage. I don't think it's going to hurt him too bad. What's really going to hurt him is how much he spun up those tires trying to keep that car straight. Gotta commend the car control there from Kaler. Not too many guys can keep that car straight, and Athena Leclerc, just as you mentioned it, man, is going to take advantage of that situation, work her way up into the 3rd position for the time being. Ryan Lucic, though, with a heap of speed there mid-corner. This is going to be a look a little bit further back in the field, so that's Cody Phaetonauer poking out in front of the RMU car. Now this is back to the other incident at hand, the touch between Austin Farr and Jared Kaler. Did Jared turn in on Farr? Did Farr not turn when Kaler wanted to? I don't know what the situation was there. Sure, race control's going to look at that one though, Josh.
Yeah, for sure. What a save, though, by Kaler. That was incredible, and here he is, still up here fighting for that position. I wouldn't count him out just yet. That just gave him that extra urge, that extra motivation that he needed to get back up there too far and maybe give him a little bit of a bump of his own.
Yeah, I think revenge is probably coming for that one there. We typically see Austin race really cleanly in most races, and it's very rare that he's the cause of an incident, but in any case there, that was all down to the fact that Jared Kaler's got amazing car control skills and extremely fast hands, why we didn't end up with a caution flag there with 9 laps to go here down the CIL round 4 at Auto Club. If you're just joining us, Austin Farr is leading this race, but not by all that much over Jared Kaler and Sean Campbell. They have been pretty much the stars of this race all night long. Ryan Lucic has worked his way up there into 4th position. We've had a whole lot of shuffling around in the field. Athena Leclerc in 5th and Kenneth Talbot in 6th. And all those 6 drivers pretty much covered pretty well here. It's a small breakaway pack with about 3 seconds back then to Jeff Pete of Minnesota Twin Cities in the 119 car. But Nick, it's getting really tight here with 8 laps to go, and you could throw a blanket over these top 6.
Oh, I'd love to see an onboard of Jared Kaler right now inside that car. I want to see if he's definitely, gunning for it right now. He's definitely looking to the inside. Getting a little bit of a word that maybe Sean Campbell may be letting Jared Kaler take 2nd place, so we can have a little bit of a duel here between these two combatants. If I'm Jared Kaler and I'm coming down here into 1, I got myself a run. I'm gonna look to the inside. I'm gonna be a little bit aggressive with it. Make sure I pin him up in that wall right there. Oh, we got more contact, I think.
Yeah, I think that was exactly trying to be the payback for the move there. Jared was going to wait a while to turn into the corner and make Austin Farr have to go really deep there and get right up next to the wall, but Austin also demonstrating immense car control skills there. Knows exactly what to do in that situation. This is going to be a repeat here going into turns 3 and 4. No, they both turn in at pretty much the same point. Sean Campbell again has his pick of car. Which guy does he want to back here? If he gets behind Kaler, Kaler probably goes to the front there. If he gets behind Austin, Austin absolutely goes to the front. As a commanding lead. No, Sean goes nice and low here. And he's going to take that shortest line possible down there into turn 1. Going to try to steal away his 2nd position here from Jared Kaler. Somehow managed to keep enough speed in the car despite having completely clean air over it. He's going to work his way up almost in front of Austin Farr, though I suspect Austin's going to have the speed off the corner here, Joshua, to maintain that lead.
Yeah, you really see these guys testing those different lines now, trying any open lane there is to try to get that clean air, try to get out front. That slide job didn't quite work there for Campbell, but it's going to be interesting to see who is going to completely and fully send it there as we wind down these laps.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Campbell was kind of keeping Jared Kaler in play there for a while by helping him out. So now we might see the effects of Jared Kaler's inevitable probably body damage he's had on his car from being kind of tapped a few times there. He gives a nice little bump there to Austin Farr just as they get into the corner. Probably not quite enough to upset the rear end of that Tennessee machine, but just pretty close to it, I might say. And now he's going to back Sean Campbell, or is he? No, he's behind Austin Farr. He said, Sean, you stole that position away from me. I'm going to take that back from you, please, and thank you. As Ryan Lucis drops back behind Athena Leclerc and Kenneth Talbot to now inherit the 6th position, I believe, on track, but is still side by side up the front. Jared Kaler underneath of Austin Farr is going to slot in front here. Slide job successful, and a little bit of tap there. Austin Farr against the wall, Jared Kaler against the bumper of the Tennessee machine. So Joshua, they are bumping and banging pretty hard up there.
Bumping it and banging for sure. 3 wide going down here into turn 1. 4 laps to go. A lot more contact is going to happen out here, I'm anticipating, as you see these drivers that get that run on that high line, but the drivers of the low line, the shortest around the track, as you see maybe a little bit more contact there, as Kaler maybe got a little tight and got up there into Farr.
Yeah, these guys need to be careful. Sean Campbell is not going to hand this victory over lightly, so if they want to survive this race at all, they better stop doing that so much, and they probably better start focusing on what they're going to do about Campbell now that he's in the front of this race. If these guys stay side by side, they're going to... Oh, and big contact between the two of them. They have taken each other almost effectively out of the race here, and I don't have a yellow flag yet on the screen, and now it occurs. Austin Farr and Jared Kaler together with 3 to go coming out of turn 4, and that puts Campbell in a really advantageous position here, Joshua.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been battling all night long, and it was bound to happen at some point. I hate to see it for these drivers, but would have loved to seen it go green to the end and have the best one come out on top. Really unfortunate for both of them, but you see Athena Leclerc up there, up 11 positions now in the 2nd place spot, as you see, just getting a little loose, maybe a little contact there mid-corner that got Kaler a little loose, and then ultimately up into Farr to push him out into that wall out there. But I anticipate that Austin Farr is not the happiest driver out on track right now.
I think you might be onto something there, my man. That was a crazy accident there. I didn't expect to see that with 3 to go. I thought maybe coming up to the checkered flag we might get a little bit more action like that. But yeah, with 3 to go, that kind of scuppered definitely Austin Farr's chance. We'll catch up and see exactly where he's at on track. I think he's in 6th. Kaler is coming into the pits. I wonder if he's got a meatball flag for damage, because otherwise I would absolutely expect him to stay out, because this is going to drop him right back to the end of the field. Whole other bunch of cars actually coming in. So this might be a little bit of alternate strategy. There's not too many cars up in front there. Pretty much everybody from 8th on down is coming into the pits. And Nick, this could introduce some really interesting tire differential here with probably a green-white checkered opportunity.
You know, I completely agree. We got ourselves a little bit of different strategies. If I'm Sean Campbell, Athena Leclerc, Kenneth Talbot, I am thinking to myself, you know what? I am stuck like a truck in a little bit of a mud pit right there, I can't go in and pit because they're not going to pit with me and I'm going to lose. If I stay out, they've pitted and now they got the fresh tires. But if I'm Sean Campbell, I think the talent difference just may be there. This is now his race to lose.
I think you're absolutely right there. Sean Campbell with obviously tons of experience on the roadside, less so on the oval. Didn't seem to matter so much here tonight. He knew exactly what to do at every stage of this race, and he is an expert behind the wheel of pretty much any machine he gets into. And so we'll see what happens here with a green-white checkered attempt, because it is currently lap 79, and I doubt that we're going to get a double file restart before we hit lap 80. So I think it'll be a 1 green-white checkered attempt to make it to the checkered flag here at the end of this race. The InnoVetted Labs, I might add, green-white checkered flag. So let's keep an eye on Sean Campbell, Athena Leclerc, if she can challenge him, Kenneth Talbot, if he can challenge any of the top 2 as well. He is put on an absolute masterclass of the show, starting in pretty much final position there, 27 positions down from where he currently sits in third. And Austin Farr, he is right behind these guys. He's probably got a fair amount of damage on his car there, Joshua, but he might get involved.
Yeah, I'm anticipating he's gonna send that car to the max, damage or not. He's still got a taste of that lead up there in his sights. Damage or not, I think he's gonna really push that car to the limits and really try to at least sneak out a podium here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, with Jared Kaler down there in 12th, any grouping of points that Austin Farr can help himself to is going to be significantly more than what Kaler can get at the end of the night. I think Kaler might be able to snag a top 10 if he's very lucky, but it will be very close for him. He's still got some pretty strong cars around him to contend with, including Ryan Lusich, actually. I didn't note that earlier, but Lusich has now dropped down from running up there in the top 4 now to 13th position. And Carl Lemke dropped down from 5th to 7th there. Brad Daniels made up a spot, I think. Cody Fadenhauer having a really great night for himself there in the 757 machine, up there in 8th position. A great run for him indeed. But yeah, Thena Leclerc, Kenneth Talbot, I'm going to keep my eyes on them, Nick, for the end of this race and see if they can take any sort of challenge to Sean Campbell. That's a tall order, though.
Yeah, I would definitely be looking for them to try to challenge. I'm maybe getting the word here that we may not have the green-white checkered. I'm not exactly certain yet there, but hopefully there is one. And if there is, I'd like to see the 61 to 30 duke it out. But I would believe that.
Yeah, I think unfortunately you're right. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but this is in fact the checkered flag, the InnoVetted Labs checkered flag here at the end of the race on lap 80. No green-white checker available here tonight at Auto Club for whatever reason. So I don't know if these results are official or not, but I will definitely treat them as such for the time being here. That means Sean Campbell wins tonight's race, guys. I can't say that nobody predicted that one. But either way, Athena Leclerc going to come away with her first podium here in the CIL, and Kenneth Talbot doing the same. So very spicy race indeed. I think everybody watching that I hope they enjoyed that as much as I did, because Joshua, that was pretty entertaining there to watch.
That was a heck of a race. From start to finish, we had action throughout the field. Cars got a little bit single file throughout the mid part of the race, but still they were sending it down into those corners, testing all those different lines. You see Sean Campbell out there celebrating that victory, a hard-fought one indeed, up there, up front all night and stuff, fighting for that top position. Very well earned and deserved, I would say.
Yeah, very well earned indeed. We'll get our winners into the booth here shortly, but before that, we'll give you a full rundown of the finishing order in this race. So, of course, Sean Campbell comes away with the win here at Auto Club for Randolph Community College. Jeremy Miller in for Purdue, technically in second on that time. And no, I believe that was the qualifying results there, so apologies for that. Here are the race results there. So Sean Campbell, again, for Randolph Community College, takes pole position and takes the win. If he had the fastest lap in qualifying, that would be his first Grand Slam here on the oval side, I believe. Athena Leclerc for St. Clair College comes away with her first podium in the CIL. A great drive there to second place. Kenneth Talbot in third for Alabama Huntsville claims that final podium position. Austin Farr manages to do a bit of damage limitation here tonight and finish in fourth for the Tennessee team. Jeff Pete in fifth for Minnesota Twin Cities, and that is your top alumni of the night. Jeff Pete taking home the trophy there for the alumni. Bradley E. Daniels for Robert Morris University in sixth. A great run for him, I might add. Carl Lemkels finishes second for the alumni, seventh overall for St. Louis University. Cody Fadenhauer just behind him in eighth position. Then Austin DeLong in ninth and Andrew McCall in 10th.
Coming in 11th, we have Andrew Gagnon for Robert Morris University. In 12th, we do have Jared Kaler for UNC Charlotte after being up front all night, working his way from the back, ultimately bringing it home 12th there after that incident. Coming home 13th is the 12th machine of Ryan Lusich from the University of Northern Texas. Hagan Johnson comes home in 14th for Clemson University. In 15th, we have Andrew Williams there for Clemson as well. A nice run for him after he led some laps here tonight. 16th, we have Ethan Head for the University of Tennessee. 17th, Jeremy Millerin for Purdue. 19th, Ricky Paz there for Valparaiso University. And in 19th, we have Matthew Norberg there for NC State. Then rounding out the top 20 is Derek Jennings for Grand Canyon University.
Sitting 21st in the last car to finish on the lead lap, we got Tyler Stone from St. Clair College into 25. Sitting in 22nd place, first car lap down, the 137 to Zachary Lindler out of Clemson University. P23 was Colin Culpa, the 06 car out of Indiana. P24, 15 laps down, Esteban Munoz, the 9 car from FIU. P25, Tristan Yoder, the 09, 17 laps down. Also 17 laps down, and 26 was Ryan Whitlock, the 89 car out of UAH. My boy Brett Bennett coming home 27th tonight, just not his night, with 26 laps down in the 845 car out of Baylor. P28, Ryan Fenty, the 26 car out of St. Joe's College. He coming home 28 laps down. 29th, Alexander Hogarth, in the 20 car from St. Clair. And rounding out our field tonight in P30, Henry Morse from the 44, 75 laps down.
And joining us up here in the booth in just a moment will be Sean Campbell, and as well as the other top finishers here. But for now, Joshua, any big takeaways from that race there? That was an exciting one, top to bottom. A fair amount of cautions, but spread out. And I think we had, a good probably 70 to 80 laps there of green flag action.
Absolutely, but my big takeaway is if luck was on your side tonight. With that timely caution, we saw Athena Leclerc and I believe Jeremy Mullerin up there or Kenneth Talbot up there being able to get those podiums. So very timely cautions indeed for them with that green flag run. And then also with drivers being aggressive, you saw it there towards the end, just trying to get those last couple positions while they were in their sights. And ultimately, it caused us to end under this caution here tonight.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, especially with that last call there. I think over aggression really cost quite a few drivers here some pretty significant points hauls here at the end of the night. But Nick, coming to you now, anything that really jumps out at you here? We see a couple new drivers here on the podiums. What do you think about this one?
I'm thinking Kenneth Talbot maybe getting hot at the right time. He won at Kentucky. He finishes third tonight here. And if I'm Sean Campbell, I know I had the talent to win that race, but you got to be thinking there's someone looking out for him up above. Because, I mean, Kaler and Farr, they were 1-2 and they were hot, but they took each other out right there. But also, Jeff Pete in the 119 P5. Can't say enough about that, man. What a quality run there from that guy. Just really bringing it home there in the 119. And Bradley Daniels, someone you also don't really see up there in the front, getting a top 10 for RMU in that 24 car. My man running number 24. That's a good guy right there. And Cody Fadenhauer, fellow Virginian, finishing up here in P8. Another great run from another quality guy.
Yeah, quality run indeed here as we are joined up here in the booth by Kenneth Talbot. Kenneth, you got a copy there?
Yep, got you loud and clear.
All right, man. Hey, congrats on your first podium here, P3. Not a bad job at all, and getting the Hard Charger Award, I believe, as well. Talk us through your race a little bit, man.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to start from the back because this isn't a track that I'm super familiar with. Just wanted to take it easy at the start, let everybody else kind of feel it out, and strike at the end. And we just put ourselves in the best position at the end to capitalize and get that podium.
Well, I would say luck was definitely on your side tonight as well. A masterclass drive once again to back up that Kentucky run. But what was your reaction when you saw that caution come out as you were trying to take it a little long there on that green flag run?
I was pretty confident in the call to stay out long because I knew that a wreck was coming. It seems like it happens a lot of the times when you get tracks like this. You've got so many grooves and so many different tire sets. So I was just waiting for it at that, but man, that was a lot of relief when it did finally happen because I was definitely second guessing myself a little bit there.
And Kenneth, you have been getting really hot. I've been noticing you won Kentucky. You finished third tonight. You think there's a chance you can make a dark horse run for that championship?
I wouldn't count it out. I mean, we're up there right now, so may as well try. Definitely have a lot of good people behind me in the team that are pushing me to be better, and we're trying to push them to be better, and just making everybody better with each other. We've got Ryan Whitlock, of course, on our team, and our coach Matthew Tucker. He hopped in here to spot a little bit tonight, so I'm super appreciative of him, and all the guys back at Charger Motorsports who are watching tonight.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's great to see. And yeah, I think all of us up here would certainly love to see another name added to that sort of Farr, Kaler, and Campbell mixture there. If we can get a four-way battle for this championship, I think that will be amazing. But either way, any big shout-outs you want to give before we send you on your way?
Yeah, I got to shout out all my team members. Ryan, Matthew, Tyler, Carson, all the guys that make this stuff happen. Got to shout out Mathnasium of Huntsville for sponsoring us over the past year, and going into this next year as well. So very exciting.
Yeah, awesome, man. Again, well done on that podium position here tonight. Enjoy it, and I'm sure we will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And now joining us up here in the booth is going to be our race winner, Sean Campbell, joining us now. Sean, you got a copy there?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Hey, Sean, how's it going, man? Well done again, winning another race here to extend your points lead in the championship battle for the Oval Series. Talk to us a little bit about the race. How'd you find it?
It was interesting. Especially at the last couple of laps, there was some strategy play there. But first half of the race was just rolling with the punches, just going around waiting for potential cautions to happen. And by the end, it started to get kind of serious.
Throughout the entire night, we saw you working different lines, but I'm curious, out on track, what line kind of seemed to be the one where you get the best runs or make the most moves at?
I'm still not sure because of Athena. It seemed that the bottom line was good for getting the slide job in, and I wasn't seeing anybody going to the top except for Athena, and she was making it work so well. I was kind of scared at the end if we were going to get another green-white checkered, or a green-white checkered, rather.
Sean, you were sitting in third there for a very long time, just watching Kaler and Farr just duke it out, and I just gotta wonder: was there ever? I mean, eventually they did crash. Did the thought cross your mind a lot that these two are going to come together, and I just may be in the seat to go win this race?
Maybe. When I don't remember if it was Jared that came up or Austin, but they both came up. There was a little bit of contact, and I was like, okay, something might escalate. I thought that was proper NASCAR racing, though, because it was entertaining, but it's also kind of how it goes down in real life. So I think it's still good for it.
Yeah, man, fair enough. I think we would agree up here too. I mean, we thoroughly enjoyed watching that. I know I can speak for myself and probably Joshua and Nick as well. But either way, man, great job here tonight. Any shout outs you want to throw out there before we get send you on your way?
Michael, Eric, and Max, and RSR Esport. And I guess that's it.
All right, man. Well, great talking to you again. Great job here on the win tonight, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. See ya.
All right, and that was Sean Campbell. And then last but not least is for sure joining us up here in the broadcast booth, I believe, for the first time is Athena Leclerc. Athena, do you have a copy there?
I got a copy.
All right, hey there, how you doing? Well done on second position here tonight. Crazy race with many opportunities for interesting strategy calls. Walk us through it a little bit from your side.
I mean, this race is basically just saving tires. We ran the top side the entire race and just saved our equipment and let everyone else eat through their tires.
We just got done talking to Sean Campbell too, and he mentioned how you were able to work that high line masterfully and really make up a lot of time. So did you spend a lot of time practicing that high lane, or how did you get a feel for that?
I mean, I put a lot of effort into last season, and it just kind of stuck around for this season. I have a lot of hours here, and it's one of my favorite tracks.
And Athena, I mentioned it on the broadcast tonight, but when Sean Campbell, Austin Farr, Jerry Kaler were running around each other, I said you were in the catbird seat if these three here come together. What was your thought process when you actually did see Jerry Kaler and Austin Farr come together?
Well, I saw it coming, to be quite honest, and that's why I was keeping a distance, making sure I could have a big enough gap to get around them when they eventually did take each other out.
Yeah, we were certainly speculating up here in the booth that those situations might escalate, and it obviously did, but that certainly worked to your benefit here tonight for sure, finishing here in second place, helping yourself to a good number of points as we leave Auto Club here tonight. So before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give out?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to St. Clair College and the Academy team. I appreciate them for bringing me along for the sponsorship ride and all that, and also Maconi Setup Shop. Those guys helping us out and setting us up for a good run in Road to Pro in the NASCAR series. for college.
Awesome. Well, either way, great work here tonight. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you on the podium again soon here. So we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, and that was Athena Leclerc, your second place finish here tonight. And boys, that was a really enjoyable race to watch. I think that might have been, well, it certainly was my first one to commentate on this season on the oval side. And Joshua, I think I picked a pretty good one, man.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. We've been seeing it throughout the season this year. The new setup that we have with the Prospect Series has allowed drivers to get experience, then move up to this Premier League. And we just see this Premier League has just been brought to a whole new level. It's all been coming down to these last closing laps with the leaders battling it out, putting on a heck of a show here in the CIL.
Yeah, putting on a heck of a show indeed. I certainly enjoyed watching it. Nick, anything that really caught your eye out of this one? A particular driver, perhaps, that you didn't expect to see so far up the field or anything?
First of all, I gotta say I picked a great race to be the first race to commentate, but definitely, you look at the second half of the top 10: Jeff Peep, Bradley Daniels, Austin DeLong, Andrew McCall, Cody Fadenhauer. Those guys, they're typically a top 15, top 20 car, but tonight, with just the amount of wrecks and the amount of opportunities, they took advantage, and they put that car up and in a good spot, got some good points, and it's all important to get to that top 20 in the points positions, because that means you're locked in the Premier next season.
Indeed, it is, and I'm certain that weighs heavily on many of these drivers' minds out here in the field. But either way, there are your final race results here tonight. Sean Campbell, of course, winning tonight's race with Athena Leclerc and Kenneth Talbot, your next two podium position finishers there, as well as Austin Farr. Like we said before, Damon's limitation for that Tennessee machine in fourth place. But if you didn't get enough CIL action here tonight, you can join us in 1 week's time on March 8th for the race at Imola on the roadside. So 2 sprint races, 25 minutes each, and we get to watch some guys battle it out in GT3 cars at a track we haven't been at, and I think some time here tonight, guys. Imola is a very famous track, and it will certainly add a lot of excitement to the road series. And then again in 2 weeks' time, we join you again with the Premier League here on the oval side out there at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for a 100-lap race there on the 15th of March. So again, big thank you to everybody that helps to set up the CIL InnoVetted labs and the race control and everything that goes on behind the scenes here. Thank you from the CIL. Tune in again next week, like we said, at Imola for that road race, and we will talk to you guys again soon.